Well, hello, my name is Martijn Elhorst. I'm from the VPRO. I'm going to talk about 3voor12 or 3to12 in English. This is a really huge music site which is available and we're going to see a lot of things on. I'm a sailor myself, and the job I'm currently in has very much similarities. It's a lot of fun to start with, and but also it has a lot of tactics involved and a lot of teamwork. And so you know a little bit about me, that's enough. What I'm going to talk about. First I give you a small overview of VPRO and the department I'm working in, VPRO Digital. Then I'll dig into the site, 3voor12, with a short intro, how we did some implementation work, also touching some of the technicalities, but hovering a little bit above it, so I hope everybody will be satisfied. And also talk a little bit about the development process we've used and in our team. I draw some conclusion also, of course, about Magnolia, and I also pinpoint a little bit on what's next with the site and also what we're doing. VPRO is a Dutch public broadcaster. There are around 20 in the Netherlands, so we're one of them, and we share 3 channels, television channels. So we're not all the time online, but we switch the program with the other broadcasters. And I thought this is a business talk, so I give a mission statement of the VPRO, because it describes it actually very well. Because VPRO is about creativity, world citizenship and innovation, and being opinionated are the leading values we operate by. You see that in our programs, you see it on radio. Our target audience is the creative class, so that's a very specific group, and 3to12 is also targeted at their group. And what we also want to be is a junction for this creative class of craftsmanship and expertise, involvement and passion. And offer a leading, deepening cross-media content. So what we do is we have programs, we have on air, television, radio, and we enhance those with offline content. So you see a lot of cross-mediality in our group, and we try to innovate with it, second screen applications, that kind of thing. We also like to cooperate with many parties, both nationally and internationally, and especially Magnolia is of course a great platform for cooperation. The digital department I'm working for started in 1994, which is was the first department in the Netherlands for the public broadcaster. So we were the first internet department. We supplied some dial-in with modems and that kind of stuff to our members. The digital department consists of backenders, frontenders, interaction designers, and product leads. And there are about 18 people employed, and we now have currently around 7 people freelance walking around. And 2 years ago we switched to Scrum, and so we have short cycles, implementing a lot of stuff in a very quick way and get feedback from all the involved parties. And it's working great. I will come back to that a little bit later as well. We have some 150 websites. We both created most of them and also managed, so we have to keep track of them. And we also have some mobile applications running around, we mostly made the backend infrastructure, and the applications themselves were developed with external companies. We've been using Magnolia for 2.5 years, and we have great experience. We have done many nice things with it. And of those 150 websites, now currently about 70 are running in Magnolia already, and we're still getting the rest in them as quickly as possible, because we like it. So how does it look? What you see here is one of our instances. We have actually 2 instances of Magnolia, but this is the one that holds the most websites. You see all the programs, that is the majority of the websites. So this is a common template, a sub-template for sub-sites. So every one of them is a separate website, and it's inheriting from one instance. So the only thing that's changed is the look, and but not the behavior in general. But the looks can be very different as well, because you know that Magnolia, you have, as an editor, you have a lot of freedom in moving your content around and place it, and so you get entire new looks, but you use the same templates. What you also see is the top ones that are the big ones. Cultura is a very big platform. So Portal actually we did for not only VPRO but for the other broadcaster as well. It's a corporation, but we build it and we maintain it. It's a cultural site, and there are some other big portals. That is Geschiedenis, that's History Channel, and Hollanddoc is another portal we do in cooperation. It's also a very big one. This one. Click. So a little bit what we did, how we use Magnolia in our infrastructure, because Magnolia is one piece of our one of our components we use, but it's quite important because most people are working with it, and the rest is all filled up with automatic or other system. If you look at the top, you see POMS, which is our audio and video database. POMS is a Dutch name for media. It's a publieke omroep. That means public broadcast media service. So the media service actually in English again. It holds all our content from audio and video that's online. So it contains all the metadata, so descriptions, titles, but also all the URLs to use to play the content. It's a big system, and we currently move it to the everybody in the public broadcasting world is going to use it. So it's not only a VPRO system anymore, but going to be used by every Dutch broadcaster. We're currently working on them with a small team. What that does is it fills CouchDB, which is a NoSQL database. So every data of that part is shot into CouchDB, and also we put it in Solar, and that's actually being used for searching, so free text search. So that's two routes our content takes. The other that also fills Solar is Magnolia. So we made a Magnolia plugin. I'll touch that a bit later. Another important part of our stuff is the image server. We have a lot of images coming from both the audio and video part, and we can do a lot of enhancement with it. So you can have grayscaled images from the big, you can crop, you can resize, that kind of thing. So it's a little bit more extensive, the Magnolia parts. And another one is the JavaScript server. The JavaScript server is something we introduced also 2 years ago. And the meaning of that was that we wanted to have version control for JavaScript. So what we have is we can have multiple versions of JavaScript, and every site can choose which version to use. So you have an independent layer, and because we have 2 instances of Magnolia, we can also independently upgrade with the others, so you don't have any problems with sites falling apart because you going up in a version and the other was not ready for it. So the front ends actually talk only with the JavaScript server, Magnolia, the image server, and now we're currently implementing the API. So we make an abstraction layer, not to directly go to Solar and CouchDB, which most of our sites currently do, but go through an API. And why do we use an API? Is because we want the API to be flexible, and we don't want to be dependent on the infrastructure behind it. So for example, if you want to have a call that needs some data from Solar and from CouchDB, you can combine it in the API and have, for example, also our mobile applications use that, instead of putting that in the front end so that JavaScript have to combine it, because then you have to re-implement it, stuff again in your mobile website or in your mobile application. The talk was about 3voor12. This is a little bit of a background. 3 3for12 is an alternative pop music website. It's very huge. We work together with the music industry in this, and there's also a lot of bands that can have access to this site. Because we're a public broadcaster, it differs from other sites because we can have non-commercial content and give them the attention they deserve. It is available on internet, which I'm going to look at now, but also we have a radio program, a TV program, and it's also in print. And we have a huge archive of concert, festival, and live registrations. Some numbers. The website started in 1998. Currently we have around, in 2011, 3.5 million, 3.2 million. There's an editorial, fixed editorial team of about 15 people. But we also have a lot of voluntary editorial teams. So at the big festivals, we have around 100 people working on Magnolia simultaneously. On the site, there's some 10,000 or more hours of audio and video, and the site itself contains more than 40,000 articles by now. The site was running in MMBase before 2011. And we started the migration to Magnolia in June 2011. And we had our launch day 3/12 on January 3rd, 2012. The website is designed for desktop, tablet, and mobile. It's a responsive design, so I will show you. The main features is that there's a play queue, so you can browse the site while the content is still playing. So you have an uninterrupted playback of audio and video. So I'll give you a small demonstration. Here you see the main entry page. And well, there's a lot of teasers on the site. You see, there's teasers here on the right, but the main teasers are in the middle. To go directly to the part here, you can see if I go down, the content moves down. So you see the responsive part, and here you see that every content scales down, and also the interface goes down to tablet-wise, and you can play this on the iPhone and the small phone factors as well. So this is very nice. There's one drawback, of course, because every content is still on the page because it is on the bottom. So that means that if you're a mobile, you have to scroll a lot. This is one of the drawbacks of the design that we took. But we're thinking about getting rid of some of the content or in a later part. So going back to full scale. What we have here is also on every part of the site you can see the play and the plus button. If I play plus, you see it will be on the left hand side of the play queue. And I don't know actually if this will place, but okay, let's try. Might be that's a geo block. I hear it play. So I had some troubles with my computer, but okay. It's not my day with computers today. It started with a crash, and now. What I want to show you is the most content we see on this site is in the so-called luisterpaal. Luisterpaal means listening pole, if you want. So you can have a lot of music in there. And here you also see how albums are displayed. So if there's a band, they can put an album on, and it's displayed like this. I can press the plus again, filling up the queue, going in. One sec, this one doesn't play, I know for sure. I know this one plays. I don't know if you like the Foo Fighters. Foo Fighters brought our site down one after Lowlands because there's a very important band. And I think just resizing all I don't know why that doesn't play now, but okay. I only hear the sound and not the music, and don't see any video, but I think it's because we changed resolution somehow, so didn't try this out. But the most important part is if you look at this, for example, the Foo Fighters, if the site still works. Very funny. Okay, let's go back again. Murphy should stop sometime. Yeah, it does. So what you see here is actually not content that is inside Magnolia, but it is something that comes from our audio and video metadata base. So we created custom components for this to display this kind of thing. This is one of the great benefits of Magnolia to have this. Okay, let's leave that together. Let's go back to the keynote. It's a shame. So as you saw, the albums that are in are created like this. So you have albums. The editorial team can put an album in, makes a list of it, and it displays like this. So you can see we made special components that get the playlist overview and presents albums like this. We can also have a playlist overview in this list, and then you get a different view, so you can have very much stacked content. This is something we created and use a lot in the site. What we also have is some special component we created to track all the popularity of different stuff. So you can see here that the above album is very popular. And how did we do it? We did this by getting custom events from Google Analytics. So the site is just sending events to Google Analytics. And what we did in Magnolia, we made a component in the backend that just gets all the data from Magnolia, retrieves it, and also retrieves it in a throttled way, so it doesn't have it all the time, because you can only have, I think, 20,000 API calls a day. And if you go over that limit, you don't get any results back. And then we combine that. So for an album, we see how many tracks of that album were popular, make a count of it, and then get those lists back. So there's quite some nifty stuff. It works really well. And also, I mentioned before, we have a lot of local editorial teams working on the site. There are 16 people, and they have a different part of the tree inside Magnolia, which they can use and edit content in. These are actually voluntary people, so they don't have much knowledge about Magnolia. They've been told once, but if you look at the pages they create, and they look different, have a different style. And one of the things we got for free when implementing this was, for example, get the permissions right, so they could not get to the content of the main site and edit stuff there, but they only are allowed to add their stuff in the tree, where they were allowed to add stuff. And they add a lot of stuff. It's like, especially after a festival, they add photos in the millions. So it goes very fast. This is a little bit how it looks in the editorial system, so in the author instance. One thing we were doing also for 3voor12, but didn't make it yet for the demo, is to get a Solar instance. So we can have search results from Magnolia. This is actually for another site. Tomorrow, Ernst Binder is going to talk about how we did this implementation and also what we want to do with it. So that means that you can have all your content going to Solar, and, for example, leave out all the teaser content on your page. So if people search on something, they don't come on a page because there's a teaser on, but only for the main content. So there's some smart decision making that you can do, which parts you publish and which you don't. And actually we are going to abandon Solar again because we're going to switch to Elasticsearch. And that has a reason because we have a combined system. We have our meta server is one of the content sources. Magnolia is one, but there are also other broadcasters going to using other system like Typo3, and they want to search through combined content as well. Because if you have something displayed like an album on a page, the metadata content is coming from a different source, so you need to combine, and that have some special cases. So actually, this is a setup we're using. If you're interested, then you know we're busy with it, and you can ask. And tomorrow, Ernst is going to talk a little bit about it. How did the development process go when we developed 3for12? We're using Scrum, and we have sprints of 2 weeks. That means that we get cycles very fast and we get feedback. And of course, to start a sprint, I don't know if everybody knows, but you have a backlog. So just a prioritized list of what you want to see implemented as soon as possible, because it's the most important feature and benefits most. So we started creating an ordered backlog. We did the product owner, the stakeholders. The designers with this started to create a rough layout of the site, and the front and the back end, they started with this to create an implementation of an album page and the playlist and see how it worked. So once we had this set up, the thing changed a little bit in normal Scrum. So we kept keeping an ordered backlog, and it was really funny to see that some things high on the list in the beginning never made it into the site because they moved down because of everything. Sometimes something was more important. The designers, they started to get the pages and template ideas, and the developers just worked it out, and they could more or less work it out independently. So depending on a template, they could just start working on different templates concurrently and build the site. And because every 2 weeks you're going back in the cycle, you have the continuous interplay. So you had something, and if it didn't work out nicely, you change it in the next sprint. And there's also the sprint cycle and the 2 weeks. As we said, we have 150 sites, and now 80 sites in Magnolia. So the short cycle also means that you can have a little bit of control of what is changing. So not much will be changing in the other sites if you're working on one site. So we continuously have it in production every 2 weeks. So after a test period, external testers test all our sites, main stuff, and then they release it. And that works quite well, but we need some time tuning as well. In the end, when the site was almost ready, we had a big job because we had an MMB site with many pages, and we had to migrate this. And we run into troubles there because we first thought, okay, get all the pages, which were more than around 30,000 pages, get it in the alter instance, and then just activate it. If we would have done that, we would not have been talking about the site yet, because it would have taken a long time. So we had to have different routes. But in the end it came up with like having small XML files per page and use that to both get it into the alter instance, also in the public nodes. We had a public beta for 1 month, which was in the end, when we look back, a little bit short. We'll do it a little bit longer. And at launch date, our servers 3for12 were a little bit overloaded. We had some custom stuff which took a little bit more CPU than we thought. But we had 2 extra sprints to fine tune, and now the site is working quite well, if I'm not running on my PC. So Scrum, what did it for us, and what lessons did we learn? Because we just started, and I think it's nice for people working with it. It is that focus is the most important thing we found out, because we had so many projects running. It was very, we wanted to give everybody time, so sometimes you had 5 projects running in one team, and they had to switch and lose focus. So now we focus is the most important, so mostly 2, and if it's possible 1 project in one team. And we also found out that a really small team, can be even one, but that's not really Scrum, of course, is better than no focus. But then you get one other thing. If you have 3 teams or more working on the same code base, you can lose a little bit of track of what's going on. So communication is a problem there. So yeah, there's always a trade-off. So there's no silver bullet. We have retrospects every sprint, and we listen to them as much as possible and try to enhance it every time. Some lessons from development also from this side. We started with SAS. SAS is used to have CSS, more or less created automatically, like with parameter-based, and it worked very well for us. The only thing is, we choose to go responsive from desktop to mobile, and for this it's actually the wrong way, because then you have to override all your CSS stuff every time you go to the mobile. So now we're going to use it on another side when you're going for mobile first, which is also, and that's, we started with that and it is going very well. And we also found out, as you can see, because the site was loading all the time nicely, playing the sounds all the time, and while browsing the site, that client-side routing can be very difficult, especially cross-browser. We have managed now, so we're really cross-browser and doing all, but it was very difficult, and sometimes you have to be careful when you upgrade stuff. And one thing we are very happy about is that we now use PostgreSQL as our main database for Magnolia, and we do it a full database. That means that not part of it, of the Magnolia tree, is stored on disk and the other is inside the database, which is normally the case, but everything is inside the database now. So we're using the blobs of PostgreSQL, which is quite good. And the real benefit of that is that if you have a backup or if you have a system crash or whatever, you just point your Magnolia instance to where Postgres was running, and from what you have in your backlog and also the steps on between, you can just start it and you can use the database again. We had some backups running in the old system and via Jackrabbit and having XML exports. They took a very long time, once we switch to this, it doesn't take any time at all anymore. So is Magnolia satisfactory for us? Yes, certainly. We have created very nice sites with it. Go play around with 3for12 and also the other sites we have done. I think they're very good. But there's always some things you can want to change. For example, our editorial staff, or our editors, they when they have a big festival and they're working with a lot of people on the content tree, it can be some slow, some little bit sluggish, and you have to press a lot of clicks before you're at the content. So I think Magnolia 5 is going to change that for especially the clicking part. But we have to also see and find a reason why it's a little bit slow sometimes. And activation can be cumbersome. Like I said, we had the local sites. They were using Magnolia as well, and once somebody decided to activate a whole subtree, and that means they were going to activate 10,000 pages, and the system doesn't like it, so we had to actually restart the instances once we found out what happened. And the same accounts if you make a copy of such a large tree, we disabled it for them. So learning all the time. So that's actually also the part of large data sets. We have huge data sets in Magnolia and the 3for12, but also websites. And every time you do something with, you need some custom work to get it nicely, to get it done. And one other thing is that image handling is not mature enough from our editorial standpoint. People like to, when they have an image, they want to crop it and say just how the image should look like. That will be a very nice feature to add. We're also doing a lot of images ourselves. Like I said, we had our own image server, which can do a lot. And we also want to integrate it more in Magnolia. This is something we're going to do quite soon. And also Ernst is going to talk about it. So what is next? To start with, for the main thing for 3 to 12 is that we're going to switch to adaptive streaming, because the site is now very nicely on the mobile, but the streaming isn't. So especially for video, you have too much bandwidth you need for nice streaming. But adaptive allows you to go on a low bandwidth and slowly go up if you have more power, if you have more bandwidth available. This will be very soon. We're also looking at the mobile experience. Like I said, it can be quite long if you have all the content on the site. So it's part editorial and part also system improvements. We try to improve also on performance. And of course, we want to go to Magnolia 5 once it is ready. There will be a huge undertaking again, because we did a lot of customization, which makes Magnolia so great. But it will also mean that we have to get everything in order for Magnolia 5. As said, we're going to look at the images, and at this moment we're working on a complete overhaul of our last MM-based site. That's still, it's there. That's the main site of the VPRO itself, and that will move to Magnolia.
Yes, you were talking about an API to cover the access to the databases. What technology did you use to implement the API?
We're using our own implementation, so we're just using Java-based system, so just on Tomcat, and so it's just a RESTful interface. So it's nothing.
REST easy, okay. Very good.
Thank you. No more questions? Okay. Thank you.